I adjusted my tie, watching my sister Amanda order another $200 bottle of wine. The private dining room at the Golden Pearl buzzed with conversation as our family gathered for Dad's 60th birthday. Crystal chandeliers caught the light, casting elegant shadows across the hand-painted walls. This was exactly the kind of place Amanda loved. Expensive, exclusive, and perfect for showing off. More wine for the main table, she called out to the server, then glanced at where I sat with my son Tyler at a smaller side table. Just water for them. Tyler, 12 and already too perceptive for his age, kept his eyes on his empty plate. I squeezed his shoulder gently. The lobster thermidor looks amazing, my brother-in-law Brad announced, scanning the menu's right side where no prices were listed. Kids, order whatever you want. Uncle James can get the value menu. My nephew and niece giggled, already spoiled at 8 and 10. Amanda shot me a smug look. We know times are tight for you, James, she said with fake concern. Ever since that consulting business of yours failed, the kids' menu has some nice options. I maintained my calm smile, thinking of the documents in my briefcase. 5 years of careful planning was about to pay off. Thanks for your concern, Amanda. I'll manage. Of course you will, she replied. Though if you'd stayed at Dad's firm like the rest of us. I let her trail off, remembering the day I'd walked away from Anderson and Associates. Dad had built the accounting firm from nothing, but under Amanda and Brad's influence, it had become a place I barely recognized. The focus shifted from helping small businesses to chasing wealthy clients, ethics becoming increasingly flexible. The server returned with wine. And are we ready to order? The children will have the lobster thermidor, Amanda declared, gesturing to her kids, and filet mignon for Brad and me. She turned to me with a practiced, concerned expression. James, I think the chicken fingers on the kids' menu are quite good. Tyler's shoulders tensed. I'd raised him to be proud but never arrogant, to understand the value of hard work. But watching his cousins gloat while being treated like a second-class citizen was testing his patience. Actually, I said quietly, we'll both have the chef's tasting menu. Amanda's perfectly plucked eyebrows shot up. James, that's $300 per person. Don't be ridiculous. We're not covering your portion. I wouldn't expect you to. Then how exactly do you plan to pay for it? Last I heard, you were barely making rent on that tiny apartment. The server shifted uncomfortably. I gave him a reassuring nod. Please proceed with our order. And could you ask Marcus to stop by when he has a moment? Marcus, the owner, Amanda scoffed. He doesn't have time for right away, sir, the server said, hurrying off. The next 20 minutes passed with Amanda making pointed comments about financial responsibility while her children loudly discussed their upcoming trip to Europe. Tyler remained quiet, but I could see the questions in his eyes. He'd been so patient, never complaining about our modest apartment or older car, trusting that I had a plan. When Marcus appeared, Amanda was midway through another lecture about living within one's means. Mr. Anderson, Marcus said warmly, extending his hand. Everything to your satisfaction this evening. Perfect as always, Marcus. I trust the renovation plans for the Shanghai location are proceeding on schedule. The table went silent. Yes, sir. The contractors began work last week. We expect to open on target this December. Amanda's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. I'm sorry, what? I reached into my briefcase and removed a slim folder, sliding it across the table. The acquisition papers were finalized this morning. The Golden Pearl Restaurant Group is now part of Anderson Hospitality International. Brad choked on his wine. Anderson, what? My company, I said simply. We also acquired the Sunset Valley Resort chain last month, and that tiny apartments building Amanda loves to mention. I bought it 3 years ago, along with most of the block. The security cameras would later show Amanda's face cycling through disbelief, shock, and something close to horror, as she realized every condescending remark about my failed business had been made to her company's owner. But, you're a consultant, she sputtered. I was, still am, in a way. I just consult for my own companies now. That failed businesses was just the beginning. While you were chasing wealthy clients, I was building something bigger. Does Dad know? She whispered. Not yet. I thought his birthday dinner would be the perfect time to discuss the future of Anderson and Associates, especially since I acquired controlling interest last week. Tyler finally looked up, a small smile playing at his lips. He'd known something was coming, though not the details. I'd taught him that patience and hard work matter more than quick success. You bought Dad's firm. Brad's face had gone pale. That's impossible. The board would never. The board voted yesterday, unanimously. Turns out they weren't thrilled with how things have been run lately. Too many ethical corners cut. Too much focus on short-term profits over client relationships. Amanda's hands were shaking. So this whole time, while you thought I was struggling. Yes, I learned a lot watching Dad build his business. The most important lesson was that true success isn't about showing off wealth. It's about creating value. Everything I built quietly, focused on quality and service. Marcus returned with 2 plates of exquisitely prepared appetizers, placing them before Tyler and me. Your usual favorite, sir, he said. The kitchen team was excited to hear you'd be dining with us tonight. Thank you, Marcus. Please give my compliments to Chef Laurent. As Marcus withdrew, Amanda found her voice again. But, all those times we offered to help you, look down on you, were valuable lessons for Tyler, I finished. I wanted him to see that character matters more than money. That how you treat people when you think they're beneath you says everything about who you really are. Tyler straightened in his chair, understanding flooding his features. Every time he'd watched his cousins brag about their expensive toys, or heard Amanda make snide comments about our lifestyle, he'd maintained his dignity. Now he knew why I'd insisted on humility, even as our actual wealth grew. So what happens now? Brad asked, his earlier arrogance completely deflated. Now we enjoy Dad's birthday dinner. Tomorrow we'll begin restructuring the firm to return to its original values. You're both welcome to stay on, but things will be different. Different how? Amanda's voice was small. We'll focus on helping small businesses again. Building real relationships. Charging fair fees for quality work instead of exploiting clients' trust. The way Dad originally intended. As if on cue, our father walked in, fashionably late as always. He took in the unusual tableau. Amanda's shocked face, Brad's pallor, Tyler's quiet smile. Did I miss something? He asked. I stood to hug him. Happy birthday, Dad. We were just discussing some changes at the firm, and I thought tonight would be perfect to treat everyone to dinner. After all, I smiled at Amanda. I can afford it. The rest of the evening was fascinating to watch. Amanda barely touched her lobster, too busy reassessing every interaction we'd had over the past 5 years. Brad kept glancing nervously at the folder containing the acquisition papers, as if hoping they'd disappear. Their children, picking up on their parents' discomfort, were unusually quiet. But Dad, once I explained everything, he smiled like he'd been waiting for this moment. I wondered when you'd finally show your hand, he said. You always did understand what I was really trying to build. As we finished our desserts, Tyler's eyes wide at the gold leaf decorated chocolate sculpture, I caught Amanda watching us thoughtfully. All this time, she said softly, you let us think. I let you show who you really were, I corrected. Now you have a chance to show who you want to become. The security footage from that night became something of a legend among the restaurant staff. Particularly the moment when Amanda realized the cheap menu she'd recommended was part of a restaurant chain she now technically worked for. Sometimes success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about staying true to your values and letting time reveal the truth. As Tyler and I drove home to our modest apartment in the building I owned, he was unusually quiet. Dad, he finally asked, is that why you always made me promise to be kind to everyone, no matter what? Exactly. Because you never know if the janitor might own the building, or if the quiet consultant might be building an empire. But more importantly, because how you treat people matters more than what you own. He nodded thoughtfully. Can we still live in our apartment, even though everyone knows now? I smiled, proud of how the evening's revelations hadn't changed him. Of course, success isn't about showing off. It's about building something meaningful. Like you did. Like we did, son. Your patience and understanding made it possible. Ready to help me build something even bigger. His grin was all the answer I needed. The morning after Dad's birthday dinner, I sat in my home office, a converted second bedroom in our modest apartment, reviewing security footage from the Golden Pearl. The cameras had captured every nuance of Amanda's transformation from smug superiority to shocked realization. But what interested me most was the moment after I left, when she sat alone at the table, staring at her empty plate with tears in her eyes. My phone buzzed. Amanda's name flashed on the screen. After 5 calls since midnight, she was trying again. "Good morning, Amanda." She took a shaky breath. "Can we meet, please? I couldn't sleep last night." I checked my schedule on the sleek monitor before me. The same monitor Amanda had once mocked as a wasteful expense for a failing consultant. "I have a meeting at Anderson and Associates at 10 a.m. You can join me there." "The firm, right? You own it now." Her voice cracked. "James, about everything I said. We'll talk at the office, Amanda. 10 a.m. sharp." I ended the call and turned to find Tyler standing in the doorway, already dressed for school in his usual neat but simple clothes. "Was that Aunt Amanda?" he asked. "Yes, ready for school." He nodded, then hesitated. "Dad, are we going to move now? Jessica keeps texting about our tiny apartment and saying we must be moving to a mansion." I smiled. My niece hadn't wasted any time spreading the news. "Do you want to move?" "Not really. I like our home." And he grinned. "It's kind of cool knowing we own the building but live like this. Like a secret identity." I ruffled his hair, proud of how he'd absorbed the lessons I'd tried to teach. "Then we're staying. Success doesn't have to mean changing who we are." After dropping Tyler at school, I drove my 5-year-old Toyota to Anderson and Associates, the same car Amanda had called embarrassingly old last Christmas. The garage attendant, who knew very well I owned the building, gave me his usual respectful nod. The office was buzzing with nervous energy. Word had spread fast about the ownership change. I took the stairs instead of the executive elevator, nodding to people who suddenly found the floor fascinating. My old office was still there, untouched since I'd left 5 years ago. I'd kept my name on the lease even after leaving, much to Amanda's confusion. Now I understood her puzzled expression when she'd noticed it during budget meetings. Amanda was already waiting, perched anxiously on the edge of a chair. Her designer outfit couldn't hide her exhaustion. "You're early," I observed. "James, I'm so sorry. Everything I said, how I treated you and Tyler." I held up a hand. "Before we discuss personal matters, we need to address the firm." "The firm," she blinked. "But Anderson and Associates has strayed from its principles. Dad built this company to help small businesses succeed, not to exploit them for maximum fees." "We were just being competitive," she protested weakly. "You were being predatory," I corrected, pulling out a file. "Like this client, a family-owned restaurant chain. You charged them triple market rate for basic services, knowing they were struggling. That's business." "No, Amanda. That's greed, and it stops today." I opened my laptop, showing her a presentation. "This is my plan for restructuring. We're returning to Dad's original mission. Fair fees, ethical practices, focus on helping small businesses grow. The board has already approved it. But our profits will be lower initially, yes, but we'll build something sustainable, something we can be proud of." She stared at the spreadsheets, then looked up with wet eyes. "Like what you built. While we thought you were failing, I built my companies on Dad's principles. Quality service, fair prices, ethical practices. It works." "But how? All those times we offered to help you, looked down on you, were opportunities to learn who you really were." I leaned back. "Every time you mocked my car, my apartment, my failed business, you showed your priorities. Every time you treated Tyler like he was less than your kids, you revealed your character." She flinched. "The sad thing is, Amanda, you used to understand Dad's values. Remember when you first started here? How excited you were to help small business owners succeed. Before Brad," she whispered. "Before you decided appearance mattered more than substance. Before impressing people became more important than helping them." She wiped her eyes. Can I still be part of it?" "That depends. Are you ready to rebuild, more than just the business?" A knock interrupted us. Brad stood in the doorway, looking uncomfortable in his expensive suit. "Am I late?" "Right on time," I said. "Please join us." He sat beside Amanda, not quite meeting my eyes. I suppose we're being fired. That's up to you. I'm offering you both a choice. Stay and help rebuild the firm properly, or leave with fair compensation. And if we stay, you'll need to relearn some things, starting with basic bookkeeping. Basic, Brad started to puff up, then deflated. You know about the creative accounting. I know everything, Brad. Every client you overcharged, every corner you cut. It stops now. Amanda touched his arm. We should listen, Brad. James built something amazing, while living like he had nothing. Maybe it's time to remember what matters, I suggested. Brad nodded slowly. Those companies you built, they're all based on Dad's principles. Every one. The restaurant group focuses on quality food at fair prices. The hotels prioritize service over luxury. The real estate company maintains affordable units alongside luxury ones. Success doesn't have to mean exploitation. And all those times we invited you to fancy restaurants mocked your choices. You were dining in restaurants I owned, criticizing decisions I'd made. I allowed myself a small smile. The security footage is quite educational. Amanda managed a watery laugh. No wonder the staff always treated you so well, even when we were horrible. They knew who I was. More importantly, they knew who I am. Character matters more than money, Amanda. That's what I've been teaching Tyler. Tyler, she whispered. Oh God, how we treated him. Made him sit at separate tables. Gave him the cheap menu options. While he knew his father owned the restaurants. Brad looked ill. James, we have a chance to do better, I finished. Starting today, I pulled out 2 folders. These are your new contracts. Entry-level positions. Basic salary. You'll relearn the business from the ground up. If you accept, you'll start by handling our smallest clients. Prove you can serve them ethically, and you'll advance. Entry-level. Brad started to protest, but Amanda gripped his arm. We accept, she said firmly. Don't we, Brad? He stared at her, then at me, then nodded slowly. Yes, we accept. Good. Oh, and one more thing. I handed them another document. This is an invitation to Tyler's birthday party next month. Small gathering at our apartment. No fancy gifts, no showing off. Just family being family. Amanda clutched the invitation. You still want us there, after everything. Tyler believes in second chances. So do I. Just remember, the security cameras in our building are excellent. Every interaction with the maintenance staff, every comment about the modest surroundings, they both winced. Will be educational. Amanda finished. We understand. As they left my office, I called Amanda back. One more thing. Those college funds you set up for your kids. The ones you kept comparing to Tyler's non-existent future. Yes. Tyler's fund is currently worth more than both of them combined. Not that he knows. He'll earn his way like I did. But next time you want to discuss financial planning. She nodded, face flushed. I think I have a lot to learn about real success. That's a good place to start. 2 weeks after the revelation at Dad's birthday dinner, I sat in my private office at the Golden Pearls corporate headquarters, reviewing security footage from our flagship location. The cameras had captured an interesting scene. Amanda and Brad dressed in standard server uniforms, learning the basics of restaurant operations. It was part of their ground-up retraining. I'd insisted they spend time working in each of my companies to understand how real value is created. Today was their first shift, and the footage was enlightening. Sir, my assistant Michael interrupted through the intercom. Your sister is here to see you. Send her in. Amanda entered, still in her server's uniform, hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her designer watch and rings were noticeably absent. Rough day? I asked, gesturing to a chair. She sank into it, exhaustion evident. I had no idea how hard the staff works. My feet are killing me, and I spilled soup on 3 different tables. Quite a change from ordering $200 bottles of wine and mocking the service. She flinched. I deserve that. But James, how did you do it? Build all this while living so normally. I turned my monitor to show her the security footage. See that table in the corner, the quiet couple having lunch? Yes, they ordered from the value menu. Brad and I used to make fun of people who, they own one of the largest tech firms in Asia. They come here because we provide good food at fair prices, not to show off. That's what I learned from Dad. Real success isn't about displaying wealth, it's about creating value. She watched the footage silently. You know what the hardest part is? She finally said. Explaining to my kids why we're doing this. They don't understand why their mother is suddenly waiting tables. What did you tell them? The truth, that we lost sight of what matters, and their Uncle James is teaching us how to find it again. She managed a small smile. They're confused, but Tyler's been helping. He had dinner with them yesterday, explained how you taught him about value and hard work. I nodded, proud of my son's natural ability to teach the lessons he'd learned. And how's Brad handling it? Better than expected. After you showed us those client files, the ones we'd overcharged, he couldn't sleep for days. This morning he insisted on starting in the kitchen, washing dishes, said he needed to understand every part of the business. Good. That's the point of this exercise. Every position matters. Every person contributes to success. My phone buzzed. A text from Tyler. Dad, Jessica and Mark asked if they can come over after school to see our apartment. Is that okay? I showed Amanda the message. My kids want to see your apartment. She looked puzzled, but they used to make fun of it. Tyler invited them, said they need to understand what we've been teaching him. She read the message again, tears forming. We raised them so badly, James. All they care about is showing off, having the best things. They're young. They can learn. Just like you are. A knock at the door interrupted us. Brad entered, his uniform stained with kitchen grease. Sorry to interrupt, but I needed to show you something. He held out his phone, showing a social media post. Our country club friends aren't happy about our new jobs. I glanced at the post, photos of Amanda and Brad in server uniforms, with mocking comments about their fall from grace. Does it bother you? I asked. Brad surprised me with a laugh. Actually, no. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm doing something real, learning something valuable. He turned to Amanda. Remember when we first started dating, how excited we were about helping small businesses at the firm? She nodded, wiping her eyes. What happened to us? He wondered aloud. Success without substance happened, I said. But you can build something better now. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Tyler. Cousin Mark asked if we're moving to a mansion now. I told him our apartment feels more like home than any mansion. Amanda read the message over my shoulder and laughed softly. Your son is something special, James. Yesterday he spent an hour teaching Jessica how to make her own lunch instead of relying on her private chef. Small steps, I agreed. Speaking of which, how was your meeting with the small business client this morning? Brad straightened. The family-owned bakery. We restructured their fees to something they can actually afford. Their daughter hugged me, James, said we'd saved their business. How did it feel compared to landing a wealthy client? Better, he admitted. Much better. A notification popped up on my screen. Security footage from Anderson and Associates. Dad was in the lobby, talking to clients. Watch this, I told them. On screen, Dad was greeting a young couple, small business owners by their appearance. The old dad would have delegated them to junior staff. Now he was personally helping them. Just like in the early days. He's happier, Amanda observed. Ever since you took over. Because the firm is what it was meant to be again. Speaking of which, I pulled out 2 folders. Your performance reviews from your first week of retraining. They tensed. The restaurant staff reports you're both working hard, learning quickly, and treating everyone with respect. The small business clients say the same. I smiled. Keep this up, and you'll be ready for more responsibility soon. Really? Amanda looked surprised. Even after how we acted before. This was never about punishment. It's about understanding what really matters in business and life. Brad nodded slowly. The weird thing is, I'm actually enjoying it. Yesterday, I helped a small restaurant owner restructure their debt. The solution was simple once I stopped thinking about maximum fees and focused on actually helping them. That's what Dad built the firm for. I reminded them. Speaking of building, I pulled up another file. Remember that luxury condo development you were both invested in? They nodded. I bought it last week. We're converting half the units to affordable housing for working families. But the profit margins, Brad started, then caught himself. Sorry, old habits. The margins will be lower, but will help more people. That's real success. Amanda's phone chimed. A message from her daughter Jessica. Mom, can Tyler teach me how to make dinner tonight? He says cooking your own food feels better than having someone cook for you. She showed me the message, smiling through tears. Your son is rebuilding our entire family, one lesson at a time. That's because he understands what I've spent years teaching him. True wealth isn't about what you have, it's about what you build and who you help. A final security alert popped up on my screen. Footage from our apartment building. Tyler was in the lobby with his cousins, showing them the maintenance room, introducing them to the staff they'd previously ignored. Look at that, Brad said softly. They're actually listening to him. Because he has something valuable to teach them, I replied. Just like this experience has something to teach you. As they left my office to return to their shifts, Amanda paused at the door. James, thank you. Not for the jobs or the second chance, but for showing us what we'd forgotten. What Dad tried to teach us all along. I nodded. Just remember, the security cameras are always watching. She laughed. These days, I'm grateful for that. It's helping us see ourselves clearly for the first time in years. Through my office window, I watched them return to their duties. My sister carrying plates, my brother-in-law helping kitchen staff. In their simple uniforms, they looked more genuine than they ever had in designer clothes. My phone buzzed one last time. Tyler again. Dad, is it okay if I show the cousins our secret rooftop garden? I think they're ready to learn about growing their own food. I smiled, remembering how we'd started that garden when he was 5, teaching him that creating something from nothing was the greatest success of all. Go ahead, son, I texted back. Some lessons are best learned by getting your hands dirty. 1 month after the restaurant revelation, I stood in our apartment's rooftop garden, watching Tyler teach his cousins how to plant tomatoes. The same cousins who just weeks ago had mocked our peasant hobby of growing our own food. You have to be gentle with the roots, Tyler explained, demonstrating the proper technique. Just like Dad says about business, it's not about quick results, it's about helping things grow properly. Jessica and Mark listened intently, their designer clothes stained with soil. Amanda stood beside me, watching her transform children with tears in her eyes. I hardly recognize them, she whispered. 2 weeks ago, Mark threw a tantrum because his gaming console wasn't the latest model. Now he's excited about growing vegetables. Amazing what happens when kids learn real values, I replied. The door opened, and Brad appeared with Dad. They'd just finished their weekly review at the firm, where Brad was slowly earning back his position, one small business client at a time. How was the meeting? I asked. Enlightening, Dad said, smiling. Brad just helped a family-owned deli restructure their loan. Remember that deli, Amanda? The one you said wasn't worth our time last year. Amanda flushed. I remember, we were wrong about so many things. But you're learning, I assured her. The security footage from last week showed you defending a junior server from a rude customer. That wouldn't have happened a month ago. The funny thing is, Brad added, our old country club friends keep asking why we're degrading ourselves working these jobs. They don't understand that we've never felt more successful. A commotion from the garden drew our attention. Mark had successfully planted his first tomato seedling. Uncle James, he called out, look, I did it just like Tyler showed me. Well done, I said. Remember what Tyler taught you about patience? That we have to wait and take care of it every day, just like building a real business. Amanda wiped her eyes again. A month ago he only cared about his allowance. Now he's quoting business philosophy. Speaking of business, Dad said, have you told them about the new project? I nodded. It's time. I turned to Amanda and Brad. Remember that luxury mall development you were both invested in? They nodded cautiously. I bought it last week. We're converting half of it into a small business incubator. Affordable rents, mentorship programs, financial guidance, the kind of help we should have been offering all along. But what about the returns? Brad asked automatically, then caught himself. Sorry, old habit. What I meant was, how can we help? That's why I called this meeting. You've both shown real change this past month. The security cameras have captured dozens of moments where you chose kindness over status, help over profit. I pulled out 2 folders. These are your new positions. You'll be managing the incubator program, helping small businesses grow. But, I held up a hand as they reached for the folders. there are conditions. Of course, Amanda said. Whatever you think is right. First, you'll continue living in your current house. No upgrades, no showing off. Second, the kids stay in public school where Tyler can continue mentoring them. Third, you'll maintain your shifts at the restaurant 1 day a week, to stay grounded. They exchanged glances, then smiled. We accept, Brad said. Actually, we were going to ask if we could keep the restaurant shifts anyway. It's humbling, in a good way. Uncle James, Jessica called from the garden. Can we build a garden at our house too? Tyler says growing your own food teaches responsibility. Ask your parents, I replied, watching Amanda and Brad's faces soften. We'll help you build it, Amanda said, as a family. Dad cleared his throat. James, show them the other thing. I pulled up the security footage from last night's service at the Golden Pearl. It showed Amanda, in her server's uniform, quietly paying for a struggling family's dinner. The cameras catch everything, I reminded her, including the good stuff. She blushed. They reminded me of us, before Dad's firm took off. I remembered what it felt like to count every penny. That's why you're ready for this new role, I said. You've remembered what matters. Tyler approached, dirt on his cheeks. Dad, can we use the community center space for a gardening class? Mark and Jessica want to teach other kids what they learned. Your cousins want to teach? Amanda asked, surprised. They said it feels good to help others. Tyler explained. Like how you and Uncle Brad are helping small businesses now. Brad put his arm around his wife.
We learned that from your dad, kids.
Sometimes the best success is the kind you can't show off. Speaking of which, I added, the security cameras caught something interesting at the restaurant yesterday. Care to explain why you turned down an invitation to the country club, Brad? He shrugged. Didn't feel right anymore. I'd rather spend the time helping that new family restaurant get off the ground. Dad squeezed my shoulder. You did good, son. You helped them find their way back.
She owed his cousins a better way just by being himself.
Like father, like son, Dad said proudly. As the sun set over our modest rooftop garden, I watched my family, reformed and renewed, sharing stories and teaching values. Amanda and Brad, in their simple clothes, looked more genuine than they ever had in designer wear. Their children, dirty from gardening, seemed happier than when they were competing over expensive toys. Dad, Tyler asked quietly, can we still keep living here, even though everyone knows now? Do you want to? He looked around at the garden he'd built, the family he'd helped rebuild. Yes, this is home. It's where we learned what matters. Then this is where we'll stay. The security cameras kept recording, capturing not just the moments of change, but the promise of a better future. Sometimes the biggest success isn't what you build, but what you help others rebuild. Amanda and Brad gathered their kids, preparing to leave. But before they did, Amanda hugged me tightly. Thank you, she whispered, for not giving up on us. That's what family does, I replied. We help each other grow. As they left, Tyler and I stood in our garden, watching the stars appear over the city we'd helped reshape. Ready to help me build something even bigger? I asked him. He grinned. As long as we can keep teaching others what really matters. That's my boy. The security cameras kept rolling, recording not an ending, but a new beginning. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving others wrong. It's helping them find their way back to what's right.